My name is Elise Bath. I'm the Senior Researcher on the International Tracing Service Archive, which is a digital archive, a copy of which is held by the Wiener Holocaust Library. What I'm going to do now is explain what the International Tracing Service Archive is, what it holds, how we use it in the library, and how, if you feel that the material would be useful to you and your research, how you can access it yourself. I'm also going to start referring to it as ITS, just because International Tracing Service Archive is a bit of a mouthful. So the ITS, it is one of the largest collections of material connected with the Holocaust in the world. It holds over 30 million documents connected with the experiences of over 17.5 million people who were caught up in the Holocaust. So it's a vast archive. It contains a huge amount of material. I tend to think of this material in two categories. Firstly, material from the time of Nazi persecution itself. So these Nazi documents, basically, which we've now repurposed as research tools. So within this, you'll have material from the concentration camps, you'll have prison records, deportation lists. You'll also have material connected to individual prisoners. So, for example, the top card you can see now is a specific person's prisoner record. So you can see how, if you're trying to research that person, how useful that document could be in letting us find out a bit more about him and what happened to him. So that's one part of the documentation from the time of persecution itself. And the second batch of documentation is post-war material. So this may include things like emigration lists, survivor lists, when survivors were living in displaced persons camps, the material connected with that sort of thing. Also contains information about post-war efforts to try and trace lost children, for example, to try and identify unknown dead, and to try and identify foundling children, find out where their families were and what had happened to them, that sort of thing. So this is a huge archive, as you can hopefully start to see. How we use it in the library. We use it in two main ways. So firstly, it's used as a tool of academic research. So this is both for in-house work, so it supports our research that we carry out when producing exhibitions and online resources, things like that. It's also accessed by external academics. So this is ranging from students to professors. People come in and access the material in the archive to inform the latest research, which is obviously great, and that's something that we really want to encourage. The second function of the archive in the library, and this is what I do, is for family research. So what happens here is a person will contact me and ask me to carry out research about a specific person who was caught up in the Holocaust. What I then do is search for all traces of that person in the ITS archive. I pull copies of the relevant documents, and then I try and decode them. So I highlight the most important bits, I translate the most pertinent sections where necessary, just to try and make them a bit more understandable, really, because a lot of it is quite coded information. And what I do then is I combine this research into a report, which I send out to the inquirer. I normally try and do a little bit of extra contextual research as well, so that I'm explaining what the documents show in the context, the historical context as well. It's worth mentioning at this point that even though the ITS archive is vast, there are inevitably some gaps in the archive. There will be some people who, for one reason or another, just don't feature in any of the documentation that ITS holds. Now, I can imagine how frustrating that must be. So I always try and think of alternative archives or alternative resources where people might have more luck. So I try not to be a dead end. I try and help people figure out where else there might be material about the person that they're looking for. So if you think that you would, that this could be useful for you, that you want me to see if I can find out any information about a relative of yours or a friend or someone that you know of who was caught up in the Holocaust, this is how you access. This is how you submit a research request. So to request research to be carried out, go to our website, which is wienerlibrary.co.uk. And you can see on the screen now, if you click on the collections tab, that will bring up a a section that says International Tracing Service. You click there, that will take you to the part of our website that's all about the International Tracing Service Archive, and there you can submit a research request. Clicking that link will take you to a database where you put in the information that you know about the person you want to be researched. I will then receive that, and I can then begin the work. Worth mentioning at the moment about our turnaround time. We're a very small team, and there is a high demand for this work to be done, as you can imagine. So you're looking at a turnaround time of several months, really. That's just something that's worth bearing in mind when you submit your research request. One thing that is also worth mentioning is that a part of the ITS archive has already been digitized and uploaded for anyone to access. So if you're interested in carrying out your own research, you can go to this website here, arlson-archive.org, and through there you can search through millions of documents yourself from wherever you are. So that's a really, really great resource. You can search for an individual, you can search for a theme, for a geographical area. It's a really cracking resource. One thing that I would stress, though, is that not everything in ITS is available online. So while I would very much recommend starting here, having a dig around, see what you can find yourself, you might still want to consider submitting a research request to me, just so I can double check that there's nothing extra in the larger archive that I have access to. I'm not really sure if there's anything else to say. Yes, one thing that's worth pointing out is that there's no charge for this. You know, there's no cost. It's a free service, so submit away. If you think I can help, if you think that I might be able to find something about your relatives or loved ones, just get in touch, and I'll do my best.